Hello and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Last time we walked in the rain. Yep, that's pretty much all that happened. And we talked to Rin, and she seems pretty okay with our presence. At least she isn't making a big deal about it, so that's good. The next morning, like every second Monday morning until he says otherwise, I have an appointment with the nurse. They allow me to skip part of my first class in the morning, and I don't feel any shame in skipping the rest either. Rather than being thankful I get to miss world history, I instead feel dread when I think about these appointments. I wake up at the normal time anyway and wash myself in the bathroom. I share with Kinji, tidying my sleep-disheveled hair. I quickly get dressed and put my laundry in the basket. I pack up for the school day. I have all my homework done like usual, so I have a bit of free time now. There's no point in going to morning class for 20 minutes before I'd have to get to the nurse's office, so I lie down on my bed and read a book until it's time to go. The door to the nurse's office is open, which is unusual. I enter while knocking to announce my arrival. Looking up from his computer screen, he motions me to take a seat with a friendly hello. Steam wafts up from the piping hot cup of coffee on his desk. It's probably not his first today. How are you feeling on this wonderful morning, Hisao? I'm alright, I think. It was cold yesterday because of the rain, so I woke up feeling a bit groggy. You too, huh? Quite a few kids caught without an umbrella, so we've been spending time handing out masks and curing sniffles. Alright. Today it's tests day. Give me your arm. I extended my left arm towards him, keeping my face expressionless. The nurse ties a rubber tourniquet around my bicep and, with a practiced movement, and briskly goes about his business. I don't think anybody really likes getting stuck with needles, but at least I got over my distaste for them. Now I barely even twitch at the moment of truth. Once that's done, a blood pressure check follows. Then there are checklists and questionnaires to go through. The nurse nods and scribbles in my answers to the questions as I give them. Alright, let's have a listen now. I unbutton my shirt and put it neatly on the back of the chair I was using while he puts on his stethoscope. I know by heart the order of places where he's going to listen to my lungs and heartbeat. I adjust my breathing to be even and deep without even being asked. It's become routine now for both of us. Why don't you go to the next one? There we go. It's funny because this is pretty much the only time in one's life when you really concentrate on breathing and nothing else. It has always amused me. The nurse lifts the cold steel stethoscope from my chest and places it a few inches lower, listening again. The contact of the metal makes me flinch on reflex even though I was expecting it. He furrows his brow, and I can't tell if it's because he's unhappy or if he's trying to pick something specific out among the complex multitude of irregularities in my heartbeat. Is there something wrong? Please don't talk. I shut up and become more anxious. The nurse is nice, but I can't help disliking these mandatory checkups. I wonder if I'm going to end up hating all medical appointments from now on because of these. He finally lifts the circular metal plate from my chest, allowing me to talk again. Everything seems to be fine. Are you feeling alright yourself? I suppose. I was out yesterday when it was raining, and yeah, I really felt a bit under the weather in the morning. Maybe I caught a cold. Were you with Emmy? She came down with a cold too. My people told her to stay in bed for a day or two. Really? I mean, I was with her, but I didn't know she got sick. I guess it was a dumb thing after all for her to go out in the rain like that. Yeah, well, let's put that aside. Everything seems to check out for you, but remember to be careful. Of course, I really don't want to go back to the hospital. He catches something, maybe repressed terror, I don't know, in my voice and glances up from some papers he was looking at. Hey, don't worry, at this stage it would take a huge crash in your condition to get you rehospitalized. It doesn't really reassure me, but grumbling about it to him won't make any difference. I quietly take my leave. Walking along the corridor from the auxiliary building to the main building, I encounter a young female nurse coming the other way. She smiles at me when we pass by each other. I'm glad they added that. It really made the experience far more immersive than if it wasn't there. The lobby is empty of people. No surprise since classes are still going on. I hear muffled sounds of discussion coming from behind the first floor classroom doors. I glance at my watch. I'd have to rush to get to my classroom in time, and I don't feel like going to class anyway, so I decide to climb up to the roof and have an extra long lunch break. Amy promised she'd bring something for me today, but if she's sick, that's probably not going to happen. I'm not feeling hungry anyway, so it's all the same. I climb up the steep stairwell to the roof. It's oddly liberating, almost like losing weight. I feel satisfied that it doesn't wind me as badly as it did the first time I came up here. I push open the squeaky door at the top of the step into sunlight. The chain-link fence allows for a grand view over the treetops all the way to the gray silhouettes of downtown further away. The dreary weather of yesterday is just a memory now. The silvery blue sky seems to be a mere arm's reach away. I forgot for a moment that I'm in a bad mood. The warmth of the sun soaks into my bones, making me drowsy and lazy instead. Blah, 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 blah. The bells ring for lunch break, startling me back into reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Soon afterwards, the quad below me bursts into life. Students pour out of the doors down on the ground floor, intent on enjoying lunch at the quad and lush gardens in this perfect weather. When I hear the door to the stairwell being pushed open, I don't bother turning to see who it is. The intruder starts coming towards me with uneven footsteps, the little river stones. The roof is covered with rattle and crunch underfoot. The footsteps stop a few feet behind me, followed by a silence. I look upwards into the glowing eyes of the sun, absorbing its warmth with my whole body. What are you doing? I turn around out of courtesy at her first words to behold the slim, awkward figure of Rin Tezuka. She looks very much like herself today, too. Her hair is maybe a tad messier than usual, as if she just got out of bed. She stands with her weight shifted onto one foot, looking at me with mild curiosity, as if I were something in a store's window display. I don't know, just spacing out, I guess. What about you? Emmy promised food. We usually eat here. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. I heard Emmy came down with a cold. Oh, I guess that makes sense. She wasn't in class. It's not that common to get a cold in June, though. You don't think she went running at the track afterwards like she said. The rain just kept going. Probably. In the rain? In the rain. Waiting for the bus. In the rain, in the rain. That sounds like a bit too much for just keeping up with the training regimen. Emmy is a hard-headed one, though, so I can see her running in the downpour just because she had to. Well, that's obviously overdoing it, probably why she came down with that cold, too. But I guess it's kind of cool. Speaking of that, I'm not feeling well either. Achoo! Rin sneezes pretty hard, failing to stop it in time. She cranes her head down to wipe her nose on her shoulder, so deciding that would be too unladylike, I pull out my handkerchief and hold it to her nose. Here, bless you. Thanks. She clears her nose and I dab the handkerchief gently on it, wiping it clean. Her nose is really cute, oddly enough. It's probably the girliest part of Rin's face. I think I'm blushing a little, but Rin doesn't notice. Thanks. I think I might be coming up or down with something too, like I was saying. I hope not. Rin doesn't seem to be too bothered about eating, so despite the lack of Emmy-provided lunch, we stay up on the rooftop. She comes over and stands next to me, right up against the fence, looking into the same abstract distance as I am. Nobody else seems to be coming around to intrude upon this calmness either. It's quiet and peaceful. What does one do on a lunch break if not eat? It turns out that between the two of us, we don't really know. Fortunately, passing time is an activity that manages itself just fine. Even though there's no conversation to fill the silence between the passing seconds, no pointless activities like cloud gazing to spend upon the minutes between now and then, time marches on relentlessly. I keep checking the time on my watch, then decide it's a dumb thing to do. Instead, I try to hold out for as long as possible before I check it again. Maybe I can hold out for 6 or 7 minutes. Ren remains silent, idly looking up at the cerulean expanse above us. I wonder why more often than not we don't speak much. She said that she doesn't like speaking because of her perceived difficulties with expressing herself properly. As for me, I think I just got sucked into the habit at the hospital, where I spent such a long stretch of time never really talking to anyone. Most of the time I feel comfortable about this quiet mood, and even when I get the feeling that I have to break the silence, it's always so difficult to come up with something to talk about when it's with Rin. She and I are on different wavelengths that nothing seems to be on common ground. What is it that you like about the sky so much? She turns to me, her eyes dark and serious. Sky is the only thing that's perfect. I know it. You could say I'm an expert of sky if you wanted, and I am, even if you didn't want to, a sky expert. It's always different, but it's always perfect, also when it's different. I follow her gaze up into the boundless blue expanse, thinking of her words. Have you ever wanted to be something different? It wouldn't be so bad to be the sky. No, I mean someone else, someone different. To go to a normal life, to go to a normal school like everyone else, not have to worry about stuff. What stuff? I try to find the right words for a moment, but can't manage to form a sentence that I'd be comfortable with actually using. Man, I don't really want to say it out loud. Try. I'm not so good at mind reading. Don't you ever want to not be disabled? She thinks about this and then shakes her head, frowning. That's a hard question. I don't know what to say. It's okay if you don't say anything. For some reason, I'm just so unsatisfied with who I am right now that I'm constantly thinking stuff like that. It's pretty hard to admit, but there it is. Honestly, I feel relieved about finally saying it aloud to someone, even if it's just Ren. I think I want to be different sometimes. I've thought about changing myself lately, but it's a bit scary, like walking backwards with your eyes closed. The difficult part is to know where your toes are not pointing, I mean directions. Even if I don't do anything, I would never stay the same. It's like my old paintings. They're different than what I paint now because I'm different, but they're still my paintings, so there's something same. That's really strange. I'm different every day, but I'm still me every day. Who am I then? Ms. Tezuka? Is that a riddle? If you want it to be. I don't know the right answer though, so you have to come up with it yourself. Well, it's the sky, isn't it? Going by your definition just now. I actually managed to surprise her by that. Maybe she had already forgotten about it. That's right. But I was thinking about myself when I said that. Very strange. Could it be that I actually am the sky? I don't think that's possible. Your logic's a bit off somewhere. She looks down and shuts up, and I can see she's quickly going over the deduction mentally, seemingly unhappy with the result she finally arrives at. Yeah, maybe I'm not the sky. It would make sense. I have a hard time knowing what kind of person I am. You're not the only one. It's like my mind is in some other place than the rest of me. Underwater? Yeah, I wonder how it got there. I have no answer, so a brief silence falls between us for a moment. I shift my gaze back to the sky above us. Sky. The last time I really paid much attention to the sky was, I guess it must have been at the hospital. I could only see a thin strip of the sky from the window of my room. If I walked up to the windows and pressed my face against the cold glass, The strip became bigger, but not by much. Wah! The sky made me feel sad and lonely, a reminder of the world on the other side. I wonder if there's another world beyond the sky we see from up here on the school's roof as well. There's a twist ending with an alien. I can't stop comparing life at Yamaku to my hospitalization, but I really should. I'm not there anymore. The narrow sky from the window of my hospital room, the faces of the doctors, the faces of my parents, the off-white walls, everywhere. Iwanako's letter echoing the words she never said. They're things of the past now. I wish I could forget everything up until now and that time would stop completely. There would only be me, Rin, and the sky, an eternal lunch break on this rooftop, perfect, unchanging, and forever. I'm not sure if I like or hate this school. I could have gone to a normal school if I wanted, but I chose to come here. Why? I just decided I would. Kind of like melon or plum jelly. Do you think it was a good idea? I mean, there are a lot of good things about this school, but I think there are a few bad things also. I know. I kind of collect people because they are interesting. People here really are amazing, most of them, but not all. Some people can't take it. They hurt too much. It gets really bad sometimes, you know? They hurt. I wonder if you're like that too. I hope not. I don't like things like that. Hey, I'm not your case study, and I'm not going to give up and die or anything. I mean, you did die one time, and you did give up. I just want you to know that. In alternate reality, you got pushed off a roof. Anyway, I meant more that this place is too distant from the real world. What's the real world? Good question. I don't have an answer. Everything out there, real people with normal everyday lives that fit together like a puzzle. You don't think we aren't like that? Real people? Maybe we aren't. Well, no, we are. I just meant that it feels more like we're the leftover pieces. Rin thinks for a while, her almond-shaped eyes narrowing as she bites her lip a little bit like a child. Is it hard to be disabled? Her question earns a dry chuckle from me. You tell me. You've been in the business a lot longer than I have. She thinks about that for another while. I don't really feel that disabled. I mean, I do pretty much everything differently, but it's not that hard. I can always practice. I've started to practice food things this year. I think I'd want to learn to cook in a real kitchen someday. That's admirable, but I don't think it's just a state of mind. Maybe not to you. I have no good counter to that, so I concede by falling silent. The situation is making me more and more confused. What are you confused about? She's learning how to use the kitchen. I know what I want, but don't know how to reach it. Rin seems to believe she can simply will herself into the shape she thinks she needs to be, but can't decide whether she wants to be a bird or a butterfly. Oops. I keep doing that. I think in the end I'm really not happy with who I am either, but that doesn't mean I regret being who I am. That's the thing that's wrong with you, Hisao. Why are you so close to me? Ren, I love you, but please. The space, I need space. I've only started to process that rather blunt statement before Ren suddenly hugs me. What are you doing? I've never been hugged by a girl with no arms before. To be honest, it doesn't really physically feel like a hug. The awkward way she presses her body against mine and the lack of embracing arms makes it feel like she fell asleep on me. But the warmth of a real hug is still there, and how I recognize it for what it is. I'm hugging you, Hisao. Get hugged, bitch. I know that, but is it wrong? I thought this is what you're supposed to do. I'm not really used to this kind of thing. The first time Emmy hugged me, I got surprised and kicked her in the stomach. I can kick pretty hard, so she hasn't been hugging me an awful lot after that. It's not wrong, it's just me. Things are a bit hard for me for the time being. I can't seem to react properly to anything. Really? So, it is hard being disabled after all. I guess she has me cornered there. I don't have the energy to start arguing against it, but I feel like I have to get something out. Well, no, it's not hard. I think it's just me overthinking things. I really wish I didn't feel so sorry for myself all the time. I wonder if I always was this fragile, or if I became this way after my incident. Nothing had ever truly shaken my world like that before, so there's no telling. Rin presses her cheek against me tightly. I can feel the warmth of her body close against me. Her body temperature feels really high, as if she had absorbed the sunlight into herself and was now sharing it with me. Or perhaps it's a natural state for her. It's the most comforting thing I've felt in a long, long time. Wow, your heartbeat really does sound really weird. It's like a drunken percussion orchestra. Please don't say stuff like that. I get very uncomfortable. I laugh at her comment anyway, in an attempt to ease the tension. It sounds a little bit too forced. Man, I'm sorry, I'm such a mess. It's okay. It's the best part of you. Hearing that doesn't make me happy. In fact, can you get off of me? I'm mad. Thank you. She breaks off the hug and settles down. An awkward silence falls upon us like a blanket, me feeling embarrassed about myself and Rin trying to arrange her expression to something she likes. One last time, I glance upwards. This rooftop is really great. It's like I'm just a little bit closer to the sky. I mean, you are, versus like being on the ground floor. I know a better place, but we can't go there on lunch break. I can take you there sometime if you want. The bell rings for the beginning of the afternoon classes and Rin stands up to make her way downstairs. I don't hurry after her, deciding to stay up here for just a little while longer. Thanks for the hug. Thanks for not kicking me. After Rin leaves, I finally let tears roll down my cheeks and cry for my condition for the first time and only time in my life. Then I cast away that hollow person lying on the hospital bed forever. You go. I wasn't expecting the doo-doo-doo. Yeah, sometimes you just need to cry, Hisao. It's totally fine. I'm glad that you cried. You've been going through a lot, buddy. Even if you say things that are not okay to say. I think we'll leave it off there. Whew. I don't think I can read anymore today. So what happened? We went to the nurse's office. We talked to Rin on the roof, and Emmy got a sickie. I think that's it. We might have taken a shower. I think we took a shower. I'm not sure. But that's all for this round. I'll see you guys in the next episode.